Ladies and gentlemen, I am interviewing Burke Franklin, and I think you'll find this interview to be quite interesting. My name is Bob Holt, Holt, Friedenthal. I'm the owner of mycity.com, and I call myself a LinkedIn junkie. So, Burke Franklin is the creator of and CEO of BusinessPowerTools.com, best known for Biz Plan Builder, business planning software, which has sold over 2 million copies. He says it's crucial that your innovations succeed in our world. This means that your business must be profitable and sustainable without you losing control, your mind, or your shirt. Well put. Burke was elected to the White House Conference of Small Business and has been nominated for Inc.'s Entrepreneur of the Year. Burke's book, Business Black Belt, applies lessons for 40 years of personal development workshops, martial arts, and real-world business success to building companies. Burke, tell us your 3 ideas: trust, referral, and pivot for business in these interesting times.
Well, when we first talked about doing this podcast, you asked the question, like, what can we talk about business right now in these so-called interesting times? We hear the words recession, depression, stagflation, all kinds of other words like that. I think about what can a business do right now that would make a difference without spending a lot of money? What can you do with what you already have? And the first thing that comes to mind is trust. And so how do we build trust? Why should somebody trust you? How do you create that trust with people? Because they're not going to buy from you if they don't trust you, unless it's really dire and you're the only one there. You're anyway. So, I mean, I think about, companies that I've worked with that I feel completely disappointed by, and I feel ripped off. And, they came to me because, what I wanted to do, they came to me randomly out of an email or something, and I've trusted them. I believe them. I believe their pitch. And I burned like $8,000 on one of them, and they just never delivered. And it really irked me. I thought, what? And I kind of looked back at this mistake to learn from it. What was wrong with this picture? Well, for one thing, I'm up to deleting at least 200 emails a day. Now, these emails are ostensibly from people who are trying to help me, but I don't know who they are. They just come at me randomly. Hey, we can do this. You want a video? You want to help with this? We can help you with that. I don't know you. And the problem is, I don't know them. I've never heard of them. Why should I trust them? When I'm also, at the same time, I'm in some networking groups where, why don't I go with some of those people? Because they have an extra need to help me, because they got to do a good job with me, because we're all in a cross-networking referral, organization. So you want to basically take care of the people in your group. Now, this one thing I was referring to earlier wasn't, nobody in that group did that, which is why I got sucked into doing something with an outsider. But nevertheless, first of all, you got to think about, okay, you better deliver a great service, because that way people are going to talk about you. We'll get into referrals in a moment, but that's the whole idea. This is where the referrals come from, is you do a great service. You've got a great product. That's why things go viral. The product is extraordinary. And in my case, we've got an online visual dashboard of business documents that help you build the business side of your business. And that's what Biz Plan Builder evolved into. That's our signature product for writing your business playbook. It's basically a brochure for pitching investors. Investors they will read them if it's not something that's written like you're BSing your way through a school paper. You're giving them the real data, the facts, the information, proving to them that you're serious and sincere about this business. And that's a crucial thing. There's been some real entrepreneurial disasters lately. There's a Theranos thing. I don't know where that stands these days. That's the one drop of blood that's supposed to, do all these things, and they're in trouble. There's Fire Island, which was supposed to be this 5-star Bahama Island rock concert, which failed spectacularly. And there's other things around that just, and so investors, just on the investor side are a little bit weary of things, or wary of things, I should say. And then there's those of us who get these emails. We need stuff done. We don't know who to trust. So how do you do that? So, and then the idea that you read some testimonials, and here's a company pitching a brand new product, and they've got all these testimonials on it, and they're telling you you're the first one to get it. how is it they've got all these testimonials by somebody who's been using their product for years? It just doesn't square up. And what I do on my side on Business Power Tools, I try to put a picture of the person there, a link to their webpage or maybe to their LinkedIn profile. So you can see there's a real person, because you wouldn't dare fake up some kind of testimonial from a person that you're pointing to. So there's that. And so what can you do to make sure your testimonials are real? And first of all, they've got to be real. Like, we've got so many testimonials, I can't make them up, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's people are skeptical, and you should be. So there's that. And then working with someone you've never heard of before. I don't know what to say about that. It's just, first I would say focus on people that know you. At least start there, because at least there's some level of trust. Going out, prospecting out into their wild world, it's going to be pretty sparse, I'm afraid. So there's that. Now, another thing I find that's useful, we ask this question inside a Biz Plan Builder, is, what's a nice person like you doing in a business like this? And that's really telling your story. And we've heard, or I'm getting a lot of emails these days about telling your story. Tell your story, tell your story. Start with your why, tell your story. And I just want to make a distinction. It's not really your drama boohoo story that we want to hear. We want to hear the story of something that happened. It could be a drama boohoo story, but it's got to be something that compelled you to start this business, to build a business around this idea, to build a business around a solution to a problem that you had that you don't want to see anybody else have. And that really adds the authenticity to what you're doing. My case, I remember as a kid, hearing about this 200 mile per gallon carburetor. Okay, that dates me, it's a million years ago. But nevertheless, what the hell happened to the 200 mile per gallon carburetor? How come whoever invented it isn't this famous person, rich, with a company and a jet and all that kind of stuff? Well, we can wonder what happened to things like 200 mile per gallon carburetor, whether it's a conspiracy theory, a hoax, it just failed. And over the years, that's always kind of been in the back of my mind. I see people, or I've worked for companies that had these, what I would call the equivalent of a 200 mile per gallon carburetor. I'm like, man, if we could get 200 miles per gallon today, that'd be awesome. So, but if you've got something like that, how do you build a successful company on that idea? And that's really where I started with Biz Plan Builder way back when. It was literally been 33 or so years now that I made the first one. I helped a friend sell his product to Apple. Apple wanted to see his business plan because the Small Business Administration at the time had done a survey of the businesses that failed, or study, I should say. And they found that of the businesses that failed, 65% or so of them had no business plan. So Apple wanted to see his plan. And so I didn't know anything about business plans, but I knew about catalogs, having worked for the Sharper Image catalog back in the day. I used to sell electronics for Texas Instruments. I sold word processors in Silicon Valley. And so I had these different business experiences that I could bring together and put together this catalog-ish business plan that Apple approved. And basically my friend got the deal. And over the next year, I was helping people with business plans, helping them, because they had some great ideas. How do you wrap a business around this? How do you give the investor the information that they want so they feel compelled to invest in your business? And these days, investors, they're looking at your deal, a handful of other deals, or a handful to 100 other deals. And so, why your product? Why now? And why from you? And so you've got to have a good story in there about like, what's a nice person like you doing in a business like this? And one of the distinctions I make is I tell a story between, there's a missionary and then there's a mercenary. And so the missionary, for all the right reasons, are saving the world, give us the money, we're gonna feed the animals, save the children, do all this stuff. The problem with missionaries is usually they're not really good at business, and so they'll just lose the money and go down. But they'll go down with the ship. They'll stay with it because they're going to die trying. That's, I guess, good. So good and bad. Now, the flip side of that is the mercenary who's in it just for the money. Give me the money, show me the money, I'll make money. The good news is they make money. They know how to run a business. The bad news is they could jump ship anytime for a better deal. Or they might do something unscrupulous, who knows? Ideally, you become the Goldilocks combination of a missionary and a mercenary. You're a missionary who knows how to run a business. You've got a missionary who will stay with it when it's tough, because businesses invariably will become difficult and tough and all of that. And you have to stay with it and be motivated. That's where your story plays into. Why are you so motivated to succeed.
And we're kind of in that mindset right now. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. And we're certainly in interesting, trying times. And I think it's important that people understand what you have to offer and why it's important that they understand your product, your service, of what you're doing.
And you don't have much time to tell it. You've got to make your point quickly. So what do you got?
Right.
What does it do for me? You're really
Right.
I am guilty of the long copy. Like, I want to tell you, if somebody asks you what time it is, you want to know what time it is. You don't want a lesson in how to tell time. You certainly don't want to know how a watch works. You just want to know what time it is. That's kind of a different thing. But there's people who don't believe something works unless they kind of really understand what's this thing got in it. So I have a fairly long page on Biz Plan Builder explaining, like, here's the components that you need, because it's crucial that you address all these issues, because you're competing for that investor's money. You really are. You think you've only got one investor out there, or one other deal out there, but these investors have a lot of options. And quite frankly, you've got to convince an investor you can do something more interesting with their money than they can. And that's kind of a tough sell. And they've got to really, really, really trust you.
At the end of the day, this is what you're all about. You can take all the fluff and all the other stuff that comes with it, but at the end of the day, you are providing people with a service that helps them get through and dissect. Am I saying that correctly? Dissect what they need to be doing.
Well, are you talking about my product? Or are you talking about people in general? Because people in general, what you need to be able to do is help somebody solve a problem, achieve a goal, or get it, satisfy a need.
Those kind of.
So what are those three? So how do you do those three things and convince people that you have what they're looking for and can actually do it for them for real, and stand by them the whole time? You would stand by your product with them on that.
That, in essence, is exactly what you're about.
And what happens is if they like you, I don't know where this study came from, but the idea is if they like you, they like your product, they like your service, they like your company, they'll tell 3 people. I would like to tell more. I'd like to try to tell more. But if they don't like you, if they don't like your product, they don't like your service, they think you screwed them, something like that, they're going to tell anywhere from 13 to 20. So the ratio of you do it right to not doing it right is about 4 or 5 to 1. And so you've really got to get it right. And this leads us into the part about referrals. So how do you get those few people who like you to actually go above and beyond and refer you? And from a recent study, I don't know where that came from, but roughly about 40% of businesses get their business from referrals. The good news is there's no marketing cost in referrals. In fact, you might even consider your line item of whatever you invest in. Most people call it spending. I call it investing in customer service, the people, the processes, whatever you do to make everything is, great for your customers. That's an investment in marketing. That's an investment in that person referring your company and your product and your people to their friends, colleagues, clients, customers, whoever. And
that's so interesting you're saying that. Not to interrupt you, but that's why I wrote some referral software that we publicize who referred business to somebody else, and then we promote that out on the search engines, and they actually get found on like Google search. So it's there's always like you said, there's always a better way to build a watch.
So the referrals compound. The fact that somebody refers somebody to something that compounds even more, that's a brilliant idea.
You bet. Yeah, be known, I call it being a referral animal, that when people refer business to other people, you should be publicizing that. Because what it does is it promotes the fact that you're a referral person. Everybody wants to rub shoulders with somebody that is known as a referral person, right? Isn't that what happens?
Well, to that point, I recommend everybody, I'll say everybody, maybe it's not everybody, almost everybody, whatever, but you have a page I would call resources on your website. It might be referrals, resources. The point is we have one called resources on businesspowertools.com, where I've got a whole bunch of people or companies that offer supporting services to, say, business planning, like there's an incorporation service. There's somebody who prints business plans. There's someone who can help you with the business name. There's financing people. So there's all kinds of peripheral things that I refer because I can show them, hey, I'm referring you. Here's my stuff, and they refer me. So we're cross-promoting each other. So you're creating a space on your website for referrals. And you're showing people, hey, I refer people, and they're going to come on, hey, can you refer me too? Well, okay, want you to refer me. So you want to really reciprocate. Some of these companies just won't reciprocate. They say, well, if we reciprocate with you, then your link to us and our link back to you screws up our SEO or your search engine optimization. I have it on good authority from a number of SEO experts that is not the case. If you're talking back and forth, you're actually creating that so-called link juice back and forth between you, and it's good for SEO. So anyway, there's that. But there's also, you got these other sites like Yelp and the Better Business Bureau and TripAdvisor. These are the places where people can refer you. They can also trash you. And so this is the part, again, it just amplifies, the 3 and 20 rule that I talked about earlier. So you really got to get it right. Because, if somebody, this is human nature. I know how I am. I'll speak for myself. Where if someone really irks me or the deal is bad, I really want to just I'm going to get even with you. I haven't had a chance to do that with anybody. I certainly haven't written anybody up on Yelp, Better Business Bureau, TripAdvisor. But if you go on to any of those sites and you look at a business, you can see if there's complaints filed about them. You can also see that there's good things said about them as well. And that's what ideally
the importance of this meeting is really this interview is to talk about your products and your product and why it helps people accomplish what they need to accomplish as a business owner, correct?
Well, yeah, I wanted to help people with just some general ideas on business. Sure, BizPlan Builder, you can find it at businessplanbuilder.com or on businesspowertools.com. But the idea here is you're really articulating your business. There's a number of reasons to have a business plan, about 20 actually. But the main thing really would be to, first of all, get information from everybody in your company. We did a strategic planning session. And we, back when we had a shipping guy, we don't have a shipping guy now, but because we're not doing that. But even the shipping guy had great ideas for things that applied. And some people say, oh, this is just for our management team. I disagree. I think you want to get input from as many people as possible because they have ideas, perspectives, they see things going on in the business that need to be addressed. And with a business plan, it gives you the opportunity to sort out, okay, what do we do first? What's more important, this or that? And how do we do these different things? What are they going to cost? And also, if I'm going to add some people, what does that add to my bottom line? What does that take away from my bottom line? Does it generate more money? If I let some people go, because you might need to do that, well, how does that affect your bottom line? And of course, your valuation, because at the end of our financial model is there's the valuation page. And everybody wants to know what the valuation is, especially an investor. Well, they've invested already, but let's say they're going to invest. They want to know what's your business worth. And so if you could convince the investor, for example, let's say my business is worth $900,000 now. No one's invested yet, but let's just say I can convince you what's called the pre-money valuation is $900,000, and the investor gives you 100, puts in 100,000. The investor, now the business is worth, 900 plus 100 equals $1 million. That investor owns 10% of your company. Now, let's say you do a better job in your business plan. You get your team is more congruent. You've got to tell a better story, and you've got the numbers to show this. You can really build a logical progression from your assumptions in your financial model. Your business is now worth, say, $1.9 million. Well, not only is your business worth another $1 million, but that $100,000 investment is only 5% of your company. So you only give up 5% of the company. Is that worth spending a weekend or a week or so working on your business plan, collaborating with your team and people to put this thing together? Because it's really, for investors, it's like a brochure to explain your business. Again, you're competing with a handful to 100 other options that they're looking at. And you want to be the one that's really got all the information in it. There's no circling back to, I'll get back. There is a little bit, but still, the more information you have up front, you don't want to be that guy in the Shark Tank standing there like a deer in headlights when somebody asks them, one of the sharks asks what I would call a predictable question. And you're looking like a deer in headlights, and Mark Cuban will say, well, do you have a business plan? Did you think this thing through? And so that's really what a business plan does. It takes all your ideas in all areas of the business and helps you sort them out, put it together into a playbook. It's really evolves into a playbook, not so much as a plan, but a playbook that
Bert,
is, how are you going to do this thing?
the importance of this interview is for you to talk about the 3 bullets of what you are all about so that people understand it. And then what we'll do is we'll end it with you giving us your contact information so that people can get a hold of you. Why don't we hit the 3 bullets?
Well, we talked about trust. We talked about referrals. And I was just talking about in the referral business, you want Yelp and Better Business Bureau and TripAdvisor, just to pick the top 3 that come to mind, are really in essence referral sites, or they certainly are. They will back up, like, you heard about this company, let me check them out. And here you can find the good, bad, and the ugly about them from these sites. And so that's what you want to, be mindful that there are these sites out there that are kind of watching you, and you want to be sure you have that right. But when it comes to investors and your business plan, this really goes into the whole pivot concept. So this is a different piece of it, the third piece about a pivot. Do I need to change everything? Like, do I need to go in a whole new direction? You probably don't. A pivot really could be changing maybe an emphasis on a certain customer segment, or maybe I could turn one up. Let's sell more to these guys, not so much these guys. Or we want to add maybe a new product or new service. And the business plan will help you sort out, okay, what happens if we add this product? How many customers might we have from that? What's the profitability of that? How does that affect our bottom line and our valuation? So there's that. You can play those different things. And then we even have a piece in there where it's called the sensitivity analysis, which is a best worst case scenario. There's no need to have 3 sets of financials. You just take the one thing, the one financial model, and it runs your P&L, your profit and loss numbers down the middle, and you just put on both sides. But on a good day, this is going to happen. On a bad day, this is going to happen. And it goes all the way down, and you figure, okay, what's for the probability of the worst case scenario? What's the probability of the best case scenario? And that mathematically weights it into what's the combination. There's a number. And you can sit there with the investor on the model online and just do it real time, and you guys agree on the number. And you go, there you go. There's your operating number. That feeds into the valuation. And
so listen, before we make this interview too long-winded, I think you've told us about the importance of what you're doing, why you're doing it. Agreed?
Yeah.
So why don't we end on that note, and why don't you give us your contact information so that people know how to get a hold of you? How's that sound?
Well, I was just going to say one last thing about adding a new product or service. And it's one of these points that people, I think, often overlook or don't realize the math on it. And that's simply, and I can't quote where I got this from. It's one of those things I've known for many, many, many years. And that is simply, it costs about 5 times as much to establish a relationship with a new customer and sell them their first product of yours than it does to go to an established customer who already knows, likes, and trusts you and sell them another product. Put another way, it costs 1/5 to sell an established customer the next product as it costs to go and sell a brand new customer the first product. So you want to consider, what can I offer my established customers as part of that pivot idea of generating more business? And so these are some ideas, I think, between trust, referrals, and a pivot that you can use in your business and your business plan, and articulate this in your business plan, whether you've got established investors or you're looking for new investors, to let them know, here's what we're doing, here's where we're going, and to pull all these ideas in and have your whole team, your company involved and buy into it. This is the part where they're going to stay with you and make it happen. I've had people say, Burke, just shut up and do your job. Well, I've got an idea to save you over here. But shut up and do your job. Well, you think I wanted to work for that guy anymore? No. And so this is where you can really go a long way to keeping your people engaged in what they're doing, because you're helping them. They're implementing their idea. Right. And yay! Thanks for the idea. So anyway, you can find me. I'm Burke Franklin, Burke Franklin. Just look on your $100 bills. That's a great grandfather in there. Until the fact checkers prove me otherwise. Anyway, no. And it's businesspowertools.com. And my flagship or signature product is called Biz Plan Builder. And it's helped more than 2 million people, literally 2 million plus people, write business plans, raise capital, start businesses, run businesses, put their strategic plans together, and really have a credible, believable roadmap to use to build their business to zillions and beyond.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for people that don't know me, my name is Bob. On LinkedIn, it's Bob Holt, Holt. Last name Friedenthal, Friedenthal. It's a mouth. And my phone number is area code 310-736-5787. My email address is bob@mycity.com. And I've been doing these interviews for about 14 months now, and I can't tell you how successful this has been. All I know is that there's a lot of opens, people, and commenting by people that have watched these interviews, and it's telling me that there's value here. So in the meantime, I'm going to be signing us off. Burke, you're a wealth of knowledge and opportunity, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I hope the listeners get the same value.
Thanks, Bob. I love talking about this stuff.
All right, guy. Talk to you later.
Bye.